Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Arch Enemy, Blood Dynasty, out March 28th on Century Media Records. The album has 11 tracks, 43 minutes in length, and this is the band's 12th full-length studio album. They are a Swedish melodic death metal band. As far as the album is concerned, the design, the structure, but even the vibe, this is a very chaotic record. And the reason I say that is because it lacks a sense of purpose, it lacks a sense of direction. There's a lot of dissonance within this album in terms of the songs that have a more traditional Arch Enemy present sound structure, and then the songs that feel like they went too far outside the box with. The inability to connect these two worlds creates a very bumpy road from first all the way to the last track, making the overall album really hard to navigate and really hard to digest. Listeners will connect with certain songs, but will completely disconnect from others, taking a little bit of quality away from the collective and concentrating the attention more on the individuals. As far as the sound is concerned, the album has a big, heavy sound. Having said that, the Arch Enemy DNA, it's still there, but it gets lost at times. And you saw that already in the singles that the band has released. If you look at the singles and you look at the diversity that exists between them, that is just a microcosms of what the overall album is going to give you. And talk about going outside of the box of what Arch Enemy sound has always been. The perfect song to illustrate this is Vivre Libre, which is a hard rock ballad. It's a cover song, but it comes across as a hard rock ballad sung only with clean vocals and in French. If you're not thinking that this song perhaps doesn't have a place on this album as a full track of the record and not as a bonus track, I think you're losing a little bit of the plot, because you don't understand exactly what you're trying to achieve with this album overall. It's almost like you're running out of ideas and you're just trying to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. The sound on this album at times feels so close to home. It feels traditional to the band. It feels traditional to what the band has done up until this point. And if it ain't broke, why fix it? So I felt like songs like Vivre Libre, for example, is a track that just goes too far beyond what I would expect from this band, specifically on a full-length record. If you put a track like that as a bonus track, or you release it as part of an EP, it's a completely different story. But on an album, I still think you have to look at the album as a collective and not just individual songs, and let's see if this idea works, let's try this because it's cool. I just start to see a little bit lack of understanding and direction, like I said, and purpose that we see in the design overall. It's reflective from that individuality that exists within these songs. Now you can talk about some of the elements on this record and what do they have to offer. I felt like the drums was the most traditional, most consistent element sound-wise that the band had on this record. The sound was impactful, was powerful, was driven, exactly as it always has been on an Arch Enemy record. The guitar sound was as chaotic as the design of the songs, as some of the individual tracks, as the overall vibe of the record. There are tracks when you listen to the guitar sound, you immediately know that you're listening to an Arch Enemy track because it has all of those DNAs, the melody, the solos, the drive, the push, the chugginess, all of that is there. You could almost tell when a certain melody is coming in because it's so traditional to the way the band constructs that songs that they almost, they almost mill it in, but in a positive way, because you're expecting that from the band. And then there's certain songs where that DNA is completely lost, or at the very least is washed away quite drastically, allowing the songs to still have their own identity, to still have their own vibe, and the guitars to have a definition of what that identity is and that vibe is, but just feels completely removed from what we've came to expect from the band. So it's an album that guitar-wise does not feel consistent, and the lack of consistency from the guitars definitely impacts the lack of consistency in the sound and on the record itself. Now when it comes to the vocals, you're gonna find it to be a very dynamic performance because it is not one-size-fits-all approach, not just harsh vocals all the way through. There's a lot of clean vocals on this record. And like I said before, Vivre Libre, it's a song that's sung completely with clean vocals and in French. Arch Enemy has never done this. So this is something completely outside the box that I feel like, while being very interesting, it just really sticks out as a sore thumb on this album. The overall vocal performance as far as the harsh vocals are concerned, phenomenal. Clean vocals, I think it's something that they should continue to use, because sporadically throughout a record, sporadically in a song here and there, works extremely well. And Alyssa has a great voice, great clean vocals, and I feel like they work very well in that context of the band, and allows them to open some new doors and bring some new fresh ideas. But to go too far within that realm, I feel it's something that just takes away from what this band has always been about. And that obviously hurts the record. It hurts the vibe of the album, it hurts the overall collective. This is a record that, if I'm going to be honest, it could be squeezed down into an EP as far as the songs that I felt that deserve to be on a record. So this is more of an EP that's been extended into an album, but there's a lot of tracks that feel like just fillers, in all honesty. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with A Million Suns. The bass really pops on this track. It has a thunderous guitar sound and a thunderous drum sound, and that's a key component of the band. I felt like this track, from a traditional standpoint, as far as Arch Enemy songs are concerned, stayed very close to home. It stayed connected with that drive, with that essence of drums and guitars being very heavy, and then some underlying melodies that create great undertones and allow to minimize the overall heaviness of the song, still keeping it heavy but melodic at the same time, adding a sense of epicness to the way the track is presented, which comes to life in the chorus. This track has a very cool chorus, one that feels very traditional to Arch Enemy, and it's a track that also has a great solo section that really blends into the song, the overall underlying melody that the track already has. Then you have a song like Don't Look Down, super aggressive, very driven, just a track that almost feels like it's bulldozing over the listener. It never really feels like it's gonna slow down. It just has a great tempo, drums and guitars working really well together. The chorus has an underlying melody, but the chorus barely slows down the song. It just feels like it's moving at the same clip all the way through, and this creates a very energetic, a very intense, a very aggressive track. Super fast roaring guitars, great guitar sound all around, and the vocals to match it. Last but definitely not least, Paper Tiger, a more light sounding song, but still with the Arch Enemy DNA in it. It has some more classic heavy metal moments to it. It has almost like a throwback at times, classic 80s heavy metal sound or new wave of British heavy metal sound to it, and you see that not just in the overall melody of the song, but you definitely also see it in the solo sections and how they're put together, the brightness that they add to the track, and the way they kind of open up the song a little bit more. Paper Tiger is a track that, in my opinion, off of the three that I picked, it's perhaps the least traditional Arch Enemy song, but it's the one where they blended external elements a lot better into the format of the band, while still bringing some of the more traditional guitar sounds into the forefront, allowing you to feel like the gap between where they went and where they used to be is not that far off one another. A more complete song from that perspective. Definitely one that stays a little bit outside of the path, but not too far out, still connected with a more traditional sound of the band. This is it, Arch Enemy with Blood Dynasty, out March 28th on Century Media. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.